This evening I'm joined by Eric, who is the owner of Dalton Motorcycle Training and a former member of the Defence Forces. Just in the army, just over 20 years, right?
I done 21, yeah. 21 in a day, according to the
21
list.
a day. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as you hit that 21, you're out there, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was always the plan from day one, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And do you miss it now, or?
I don't like it had changed a few years before I came out. So with the reorg and like I was regiment for most of my career.
Okay.
And the reorg put me into the Cav, and then the Cav was brilliant. Absolutely loved it, and I loved the regiment as well.
Okay.
But then promotion took me out of that, so I spent my last 2 years in the weapons ring in the Curragh.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I was moved around a fair bit towards the end.
Yeah.
So like the lads that you had spent most of your career with, they'd all gone different ways
Yeah.
7, 8 years before I ended up leaving anyway. So um, at that stage, then it wasn't really strange. You know what I mean? And I had
Yeah. Yeah.
planned to come out at 21 anyway.
Okay. Yes,
To
you're
to
making
leave.
plans. Grand. And going all the way back to day one, like, do you remember your first day?
I do. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where'd you
Up to the
train?
brewer.
In the
Yeah.
room, yeah.
Yeah, we went into the brewer on the day after Paddy's Day in '97,
Okay.
and
Few
we
sore
hung
heads
around the
that morning.
gate for a while, and then someone got screamed at. I think you said don't mention names, but fella we
Yeah.
used to call Carpethead for having his hands in his pockets, and
Okay.
so he kind of started the ball rolling on what was to be the next couple of months of our lives, like
Okay.
yeah.
And it all went downhill from there, or uphill.
Okay,
But
okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'd say there was a few sore heads the day after Paddy's Day going in.
I'd say so. I flipping stayed. I was good because I didn't want to have a sore head. I'd done
Yeah.
FCA service beforehand,
Ah, okay.
and so I kind of knew didn't know what to expect exactly from that, but I had an idea, you know.
Yeah, yeah. What was the thought process for you, like joining the army? Like, why did you decide to go in? Was it something that you always had an interest in, or
Yeah, I
like
just always had
sports?
an like I grew up playing soldiers and running around the streets with guns, and
Yeah.
like just being a child that had that kind of thing in his head, and then watching
Okay.
war movies, Platoon and Hamburger Hill and flipping all those type of things.
Yeah, yeah,
So it was in me, and then a friend of mine joined the Legion, and I was interested in that, and I said, you know what, I'll join the Irish Army, and because my family would never have got on with the Legion side of it, although it did almost happen that way. But
yeah.
I said, Shag it, you know what, I'll go in. I had tried 3 years previous,
Okay.
and I got to the interview, and the officer that was doing the interview in '94, he said, like, you're doing your leaving cert this year. We'd rather you do your leaving cert. So I ended up not getting accepted for that one.
Oh, really?
Uh, yeah, so I reapplied again, and just said, look, hopefully I get it this time. If I don't, I was 22, so I was starting to hit that.
Yeah.
You're going to be too old,
Right.
and luckily I got in, and it's been a big part of my life. Obviously, 21 years of it,
Yeah, yeah,
and it was amazing. I loved every minute.
yeah. When you were in training, then did you stay in the brew for all your training, or did you move somewhere else for two
No, we
change
were
there?
moved straight away. We went to Gormanston.
Oh,
So
okay. So you.
we signed on the dotted line, and we were straight put into trucks, and we were brought down to Gormanston, and people didn't know what to expect. They didn't know where we were going, and there was two lads on the truck. One wanted to be a mechanic, and the other fellow wanted to be a computer technician,
Okay.
and they were convinced that that's what they were traveling down there to do, and that all changed.
Jesus.
But
Would
in
no one
fairness
tell
to
them,
those
no?
two lads, one of them is a heavy plant mechanic and still serving,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
the
that's
other
good.
one
So,
did become one of the head techs in the computer side of it in the Defence
okay.
Forces.
Right.
And two lads that really succeeded in what they wanted to do.
It's good that they eventually got there, but a bit of a
Eventually, it's good, but
bit of a shock to the system.
they
Yeah,
definitely didn't think they were getting there on day one. That's for sure.
especially Gormanston of all places.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you like it down there? Did you? Or
I loved it. Yeah, it
yeah,
was brilliant. Look, we were out of the way, so they were able to train us, and without a doubt, they did train us. And I remember we were one of the first recruit platoons to get the A7 lecture, which was starting to come about at the time. And
Oh yeah.
the minute we came out of that, they said, forget about what was said in that room.
So A7, that was about the bullying and
The
the
bullying and
harassment. So
harassment in the defence
yeah.
forces. Yeah, we all came out smiling, going, "Oh, Jesus, maybe things are down." No, no, they haven't said that. We weren't being bullied. We were being trained properly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
But they
No,
did. They didn't want that lecture to cloud what was happening. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. It's and that's important, right? But you've no right for 6 months.
No, definitely not. And
That's the way it
there
should
was
be,
no
right?
mobile phones at the time. If you wanted to ring home, you went up to the payphone at the main gate. You know.
Okay. Yeah. You probably allowed up once a week kind of thing, were you? Or
Well,
every
the odd, yeah, maybe. Hmm.
if you're
We definitely weren't allowed up all the time. Like it was only if you were being kept in on that weekend that you weren't getting home,
yeah, yeah.
and you got to make a phone call home.
What time would you be working till in the evenings, like right into the night, like polishing boots? Did you pull the
Yeah,
boots back then, did you?
yeah, we done everything: bed blocks, polished rooms, floors, everything. It's not the very much not the way it is now.
No.
Because I've done I've done recruit platoons, NCO courses and standard courses close to when I came out, like, and they were very different. They have their
Yeah,
timings, and you're not allowed to touch them after a certain hour. It definitely wasn't like that then. I
yeah,
remember sitting up till all hours in the morning, polishing boots and trying to clean stuff, and making sure everything was 100%. And the
yeah.
orderly sergeant that evening coming in and then just wrecking the place. And good luck, lads.
Um, back
Start
to
all over.
back to square one, yeah. But that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, I think we had phones. I think we were one of the first battalions that didn't have to bull the boots, so
yeah,
we got off lucky. But the phones, they used to get taken off us every morning and put into like an ammo box, and then you'd get them
yeah.
back then after
Yeah.
supper. I think it was. If you're good, if the
Yeah,
day
no, they
went well,
didn't exist. Like they didn't exist with us. It wasn't a case that they were taken off us. We
right?
didn't have them.
Just didn't
So we were
phones back
just
then.
shy of it. The Nokia flipping yoke with the aerial that you pull out was just starting to come onto the scene. The 088, the pay as you go thing.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
remember.
remember we had been assigned to the regiment, and we had arrived in the regiment after recruit training.
Yeah.
And one of the lads bought one of those phones. And the
Okay.
very first thing that we did with it was order takeout to the mess, the gunners mess in
Right.
McKee. So
Yeah. Jeez. But after you do, so we obviously we talked about training and all the other episodes, right? But we go straight to the artillery then. So that's where after training, then you were sent to the regiment, which is the artillery
yeah,
regiment,
we
right?
we were given options initially of the Cav Squadron, the Second Regiment, the Fifth Battalion, the 27th Battalion, 29th Battalion.
Yeah.
And I had applied for the second two Cav Squadron. That's where I wanted to go,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
because of the bikes and all that.
Yeah.
And it was pulled as an option just before we went in. And
Okay.
we ended up with just the other option. So, being that I wanted to go to Dublin and serve in Dublin because it was from Finglas and McKee was only across the road, I picked the regiment and I got it. So,
Yeah. Okay. Happy days.
yeah.
So close to home. But once you're into the regiment, then like, what's the training process in the regiment? Because I presume you have to get upskilled straight away onto the
Yeah, so
what's it,
what they did with
the
us was
120.
we were taken up early because they needed us for a guard of honor. So we were actually pulled out of recruit training a little bit early, 3 or 4 days, something like that. Like,
Okay.
and we ended up there, and they gave us a rock around the clock straight away. And,
What rock around the clock for everyone that doesn't know?
well, they were different uniforms and cleaned the rooms and shagging everything.
Yeah.
They just basically kept us awake all night, and then we had to go on to that guard of honor the following day. Like,
Lovely.
so it was interesting, and
Independent.
it wasn't unit sanctioned. It was an individual decided he just wanted to fucking play.
Yeah. Look, yeah, that it's like sometimes it's funny, right? For the first half an hour when you're doing that rock around the clock, like when you're changing different uniforms and putting camo paint on, and then you're into your number ones. But
Yeah,
after about half an hour,
yeah, it gets
it
fairly
gets
silly then.
yeah,
Yeah, and your room getting wrecked then and fucking everything else. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's good crack as well. Like you look back on it, you say, Jesus, that
Oh
was
yeah, it always
tremendous.
brings a smile to your face in the end.
But once you're doing like that guard of honor and like you're embedded into the unit, then
Yeah,
the
so the first thing that they wanted to do with us, because it's an artillery unit and it's core unit, you have to do your core course. So we had to do a gunnery course.
okay,
So we arrived June, July, August, September. It would have been late September,
okay,
and we were sent to Mullingar then straight away to do the gunners course.
Okay. And how long's the
So
gunner's course then?
5 weeks, I think. I think it was
weeks.
5 weeks.
Okay.
So that was in Mullingar, and it was a mix of the first FAR from Cork, the 4th Regiment, from Mullingar itself, and ourselves with a couple of ADR lads from the Curragh, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few lads from the Curragh. And that was us for 5 weeks down there, like, and it was just recruit training again, but you had 105 25 pounders and the 120 motor, like, so we were just doing that for 5 weeks,
Yeah.
and that was really enjoyable. It was great.
Yeah. It looks like a great course to get, like, and there's some weapons as well to be firing. Like,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you
yeah.
you pull the string on the Irish ones, do you, or is it a lever?
No, the 120 you pull the string on. The
Yeah, that's
lanyard is called.
the
Yeah, that's why we wear
the
the
mortar.
lanyard and the thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's the 120 has that. The others are fired by electronic, or like the 105 is an electronic trigger box that
Okay.
fires that, you know. So
Yeah. Good weapons to be trained on. And then
yeah, yeah.
once then you're out, you have the gunner's course done. Then what's the next course of action? Then are you overseas then, or are you just
A lot of the lads went overseas. I just said straight away off the gunner's course. So they went out on the 82nd or 83rd Battalion in Lebanon. And I stayed to try and bed into the unit a bit more and get known.
yeah?
And then I went out on the 85th to
Okay.
Lebanon with the BMR then.
Grand. How was the first trip out to Lebanon? Was it busy out there? Or?
Yeah, it was busy. Yeah, it was the old Lebanon as it's known now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was busy enough. Like we were in Groundhog most nights. The
Okay.
first week that we got there, we were in Groundhog every night.
Yeah,
Um,
that's in the bunker then. Like,
yeah,
is
down
it? Yeah.
down in the bunkers. Yeah. Like we did like there was a few things happened.
Yeah.
Like we had Ronnie Rush and Billy Keegan incident was on that one.
Oh, jeez.
Um, Mongo had a road traffic accident, so there was two lads passed on that trip. And then obviously the one after that was a Valentine's one, so that was sad as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was more active, I suppose, than it is now. But the Lebanon is always a thing, and even is today, where it could turn on it.
Tinderbox.
Yeah, it could turn
Yeah.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah. Grand. What was your job out there? Was it rifleman or were you?
yeah, it was a gunner with the BMR, with the battalion
Okay.
mobile reserve. So I
Yeah.
was basically in the back of a CZU. I was an 84 gunner, um, with the anti-tank. So I had that done. I had done that while I was waiting while I was bedding into the regiment, like.
Yeah.
Um, so I had that. I had pretty much that was it. Like we done a lot of patrols out to we were the battalion mobile reserve, so we reserved all the company posts,
Yeah.
if they needed it. So we done a lot of patrolling out to all the outposts, and
Okay. Yeah.
but it was busy. You had like MSG 1, MSG 2, and then you had the rest day, and then it just rotated like that for the whole trip.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. So you kept on your toes anyway. So
Yeah,
good experience.
that was great.
Uh, what other courses did you get done before you got your first promotion?
I done the sniper course,
Okay. Yeah. Jeez.
and I passed that first time. I hadn't got overseas yet. That was in the first year that I was there. Um,
Okay.
so I done that and passed. I badged that, and I was happy with that. That was one of the box tickers I always wanted. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
so I done
I
that.
think
I
it's the
done
third hardest
signal
course in the
course.
army as well.
Ah,
The sniper course would be the third hardest course in the army, would it be?
yeah, it has a high failure rate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was interesting. Like I had a background of mountaineering from school. Like I had
yeah.
a teacher in school who was big into mountaineering. He was part of the Wicklow Mountain Rescue and all, and he taught us all about the map reading and everything. Like. So
Okay.
when I went in, that's what the one thing that I said straight away. I want to give that a go, like because I'd gotten best shot in recruit training, and I wanted
Okay.
to kind of build on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so I went and did that, and it was
All
great.
right.
Loved it.
Pass. And how long were you waiting then for your first promotion then to corporal?
It was just after that. I came home from overseas and I transferred from the 2nd Regiment for a very short period of time down to the 4th Regiment.
Okay.
Um, and I got promoted there. I was on an NCO course within a year. So I got
Yeah.
promoted very, very quickly.
What was the reason for transferring to the fourth regiment?
What's the reason for any fella moving? I'd done a gunner's
No.
course in Mullingar, like.
They liked you.
Yeah, someone like me. I thought at the time. But that didn't
Grand.
obviously didn't last, so I came back to the regiment in Dublin.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Grant, and then you're back overseas then. Was all your trips to the lab or did you go anywhere else?
No, that was the only one. All my trips were Africa,
Okay,
other than that
Jesus.
first one. So the next trip I did was Ethiopia, Eritrea,
Okay,
and that was with the 4th Regiment just before I came back to Dublin. Um, then I done 2 trips to Liberia,
okay,
and what the second one of those went in and out of Sierra Leone, and then we done Chad.
Chad.
I was on
Chad.
the last trip out in Chad.
What was the best trip that you done out of all of them? Like, do you
I
have
think
any
the first trip to Liberia was probably the best for the majority of people that were on that trip. I reckon most of them would say that that was probably the most soldiering trip that we did
Yeah,
in the sense of 9-day patrols out into the jungle and looking for different things and having taskings and stuff like that.
okay,
So that was definitely the one that you would see as the closest to the job that we joined for. You know what I mean?
yeah, okay, the real thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the jobs out there obviously patrolling through the jungle, staying in patrol harbours then for like kind of days on end.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. The longest we did was 9 days.
yeah, okay, it's tough going 9 days on the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially in
It,
that red van.
yeah.
You come back covered in it.
And but you decide you go on then you become a sergeant then as well. Uh, is there like are you glad that you didn't go any further or would you like to go a bit further than sergeant?
I probably could have got further. What stopped it was I was on the standard course, and we were due to finish in 3 weeks' time.
Okay.
And I had been acting sergeant before the course. I took it down to go on the course.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to put it back up when the course ended until I got officially promoted.
Yeah.
But 3 weeks before the end of our course is when the moratorium on promotion kicked in.
Oh,
So
okay.
I didn't see promotion then for 7 years.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're
You know.
jeez that that kind of auditorium or moratorium kind of messed everyone up, didn't it? Like
It did, of course, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's
stop.
numerous things mess people up. The change in the reason why people will get promoted, that point system, that fucked the army altogether.
Yeah. It's it changes as well, like because before it was like all seniority, now they're bringing in points for a sergeant, and it's kind of it's.
But
I
again,
think
it
it's
got rid of
fixed
it got
itself.
rid of unit loyalty, in my opinion, and it got rid of you're a esprit de corps to your own unit, and then it got rid of, in some cases, loyalty to your comrades, like, because you had lads jumping on mingy courses while you were overseas, and they were purely doing that just to get more points than you, so that they could jump over you. And
Yeah.
you were overseas getting 1 point for being overseas, and they were at home getting 2 points for their cap scores. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of brought that into the fray. And
Yeah.
I've seen it throughout the years there from that point on, where people who were supposed to be good friends with one another were actually trying to get ahead of one another in ways that you wouldn't
Yeah.
fucking, I wouldn't do to someone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was there. And then you have, like, take for argument's sake, the regiment. Um, when I went from the regiment, I was fully qualified as a sergeant there. I had done
Yeah.
survey, I'd done all the number ones course, I'd done pretty much everything bar the UAV and the artillery. And that was the next step had we not been disbanded. Like,
Yeah.
but I did want to move to the Cav, and I had put in the transfer. So when the barracks closures happened, and then the reorg happened, the
Yeah.
regiment ended up closed when it shouldn't have been closed, and we ended up being scattered. You know, like,
Okay. Yeah.
and so I ended up in the Cav where I always wanted to be. And anyway, so I spent 3.5 years there training to be a sergeant in the camp. Like, because when I went in there, I didn't have that as far as they were concerned. I had the sniper course, and that's what put me in there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They
Yeah.
had a sniper
Because
detachment.
they're recce focused.
So then I had to do all the basic gunnery courses. I had to do their driving courses. So I had to start, because the regiment always said an NCO doesn't drive, he gets driven. So no need for you to do a driving course.
Yeah.
So I had to do the trailer, the transit, the truck, the LTAV. So I was working my way through all that. And with that, then I had to do the weapon systems, and then I had to do the range officer, the range safety officer, is it?
Yeah. Be a range safety
Yeah,
officer for
the
running
range
the
safety
ranges.
officer
Yeah.
course for firing on the ranges and all that. And on top of that, I was training at standard courses, NCO courses. So for 3.5 years, my feet didn't touch the ground once I went into the cab. And I had to do, even though I was a motorcycle instructor in City Street, I had to do the DR course, and then I had
Okay.
to do the cab DR instructor's course down
Right.
in the capital.
Yeah, because that's what.
So I 3.5 years of being flat out, and then I got promoted out of it.
Okay, yeah. So you got something out of it. But I thought you. That's what I was going to ask you. So did you get your motorbike license while you're in the cab? But you already had the
No, no,
motorbike
I had
stuff already out of the way.
I'm riding bikes 32 years.
Okay, yeah. So you're a long
Hmm.
time. And
Yeah.
you were that was your nixer, was it then? Like training people how to drive motorcycles while you're in the
Yeah,
army.
that was always my kind of plan. Was to I wanted to get into the bikes in the army because I kind of had a long plan where I was going to become an instructor when I left.
Okay.
And 5 or 6 years before, about a year before I joined the CAV, I had already done the qualification as ADI in Civvy Street, and I
Okay.
was walking alongside an ex lad, Peter Bucky, ex Second Battalion,
Yeah.
who had a
Okay.
business in Finglas, who I eventually then bought into with him, and we were both paranoid at training. So I was that while I was in the army as you could call it, a mixer, but I was really settling myself, building my business and reputation for when I left.
Yeah. And how long were you building that business and reputation before you kind of
There
hit?
before I left,
Yeah.
6 years, 6 years before I left.
6 years. Okay. Yeah. So you have a good kind of exit plan anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Get to
You have
21.
to. I don't think you can sit in your laurels with that type of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I knew, as I said, from day one, I knew I was going to do 21. At that time, I'd be 43 years of age. I'd be young enough still to go and do. When I joined, I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but I
Yeah.
said I'd be young enough to still go and do something else. So I'd never intended to stay longer, and I couldn't see the reason for it either because I was pensionable, unlike the lads now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's right.
once I left, I was going to get a pension payment. And if you really broke it down, that pension payment was roughly half your pay after tax. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So it was kind of like you're only working for the other half. Why would I keep doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah.
So
Because the pensions changed though as well, right? So I
it's
think my
massively changed. You don't get that now, do they? Until they're 65, like, or
yeah.
55,
I
55.
think I think it's changed. So when I went in, it was do 21 years, and then you
Yeah,
can collect your pension at 55, which
at
is
55.
probably still, I don't know if it's still enough, but it's kind of like no way. Or you can do 31 years, and then you can collect it. Then after you do 31 years, but you have to be promoted and you have to achieve certain things for your
Yeah, yeah,
contracts to
yeah,
even get
yeah,
renewed in order to be eligible
yeah.
for your pension, right? Um, so I think that's why people are leaving as well, right? Because it's just not as easy. It's not. It doesn't seem as attainable to do the 21 years. That's my opinion, anyway. But
Yeah.
once you're out now, right? You left and then you went into Aaron Motorcycle Training, was it? That's the you bought into a
Aaron
business
Ryder
first.
training in English. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you bought into that business first of all.
I bought
Like,
into that. Yeah.
was that always your plan, like to set up a business, or were you gonna like go and work like for the
I
year
was
school and
going to
motor?
set up my own one, and I kind of I had a name and everything that I was thinking about, which was Go Motorcycle Training, and I had
Yeah,
logos in my head and everything. Um, but prior to me coming out, it was about 5 years before I came out of the army. I had known Peter, but I wasn't great mates with him. I'd known him.
yeah,
Um, I had got to know him a bit more at events and stuff like that on the run up to it. And I had kind of just said, look, we're both living in the same area. We both have very similar backgrounds. Like we'd be better off putting
together.
heads together rather than fighting against one another. Like,
Yeah,
and he thought it over and he said, look, I'm close to retirement. And anyway, like,
right.
there was 15 years. He was out of the army at 15 years at that stage, I think.
Okay.
Um, so he was saying, like, looking, so if you want to do that, we'll do that. So we decided to do it, you know. But
Okay.
COVID got screwed by COVID.
Yeah, COVID messed everything up. For
That,
some
that and
people.
Brexit, we lost an insurance policy that an English company used to give us, but they pulled out of Ireland with Brexit, and that was the big one that dropped us. And then
Yeah,
COVID meant we couldn't come back up, you know.
yeah, that's it's unfortunate. But
Yeah,
you then after COVID, obviously you started back up on your own. Then did you?
yeah, yeah. It was we had to close that. That was a limited company, so we had to close that down and let it unwind and all. It's literally only after doing that now.
Okay,
Um,
it takes a while.
and but straight away I set up again as a sole trader with Dalton Motorcycle Training, and it's been on the pig's back ever since. It's been great. Like.
Yeah, it's just yourself now, is it, or do you have other instructors?
No, there's me said so Dalton Motorcycle Training is me, but there's 6 of us that work like in a co-op.
Okay, yeah,
So because I can only have 2 students at any given time, you
yeah,
know what I mean. So if I have 8 students looking to come in on an IBT on a weekend,
yeah.
I can farm that out to the other lads and make sure if they don't have work, and vice versa, they can do that where I'm concerned if I don't have work. You know what I mean?
Okay, yes.
And we keep one another going, and then it means that we can cover pre-test in loads of different areas as well because we're all working together. You know. So one of them is ex-army as well. I think 2 of them are ex-FCA. But they're all pretty much the same mindset. They've all hung around with one another so long now that they all think pretty much the same.
Yeah, that's good. So, and if someone, right, so if someone wants to go, and because I think getting a motorbike license is probably, it gets a bit more kind of I don't know, you want to do it as you get older, right?
Yeah.
For people, like, how does someone go about getting their motorbike license and getting
So
insured?
the very first step they have to do is they have to go on to theorytest.ie
Yeah.
and they apply for an AM theory test. And I get a lot of
Okay.
people saying, but I have AM on the back of my car license. Like, so it's nothing to do with the licensing categories.
Yeah.
It's A categories of mopeds. So
Yeah.
AM categories, theory test. So once you go ahead and do that,
Yeah.
you then bring that pass here to the NDLS, and then
Yeah.
it's age related. So if you're 16 or 17, you'll only be given an A1 learner permit.
Yeah.
If you're 18 to 23 years of age, you'll get your A2 learner permit. And if you're 24 or older, you'll get an A learner permit.
Okay.
So it's
So,
age based initially. Once they have that permit, then they have to do the initial basic training course, which is mandatory.
okay. Yeah.
So that's with us, it's a 2-day training program, and it covers 18 hours and is structured very similar to the military DR course.
Okay.
No,
And
so it's very, very similar.
is the different categories, that's just there with the different powers and the bikes,
Bike
is it?
size, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Power output, weights, there's a few different things that falls into.
okay. And the course then, right? So does that, it's not way like when you're driving a car, you have to do like 12 lessons. That's
Yeah,
basically what
so
that
this is
course
it.
is it?
That'd be 12 hours. So we do
Okay.
18 hours, but it's done over 2 days.
2 days.
So instead of just a week, an hour here, an hour there, and like bikes have to have a lot of continuity when it comes to training with them.
Yeah.
So their theory module is 2 hours. That's done the morning of the first, sorry, 3 hours, the morning of the first day. And then they go into their training ground elements. So they learn how to control the bike on the training ground. There's 9 elements to that: pulling away and stopping, slow riding the bike, U-turn exercise, figure of 8. They're braking. So turn right junctions, turn left at junctions, so on and so forth. So once they've achieved that, they
Yeah.
go into their lectures the following day, which is a 2-hour lecture. And that covers legal requirements, system of motorcycle control, the limit point, all those type of things, the stuff that they're going to need to know for when they're on the road, anticipation, reaction to the road use, that type of stuff. So that's in theory. And if they were successful on the training ground the day before, then they go out for a road ride.
Okay. Yeah. What happens then if, like, not way, right? When you're in the barracks, right? You see the lads doing the DR course, be going through the cones and falling over on the bikes.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happens if someone is like that, like in day one, and of course they don't get out on the road the second day, or they have to do an extra
They don't
day, or
go out on the road. That's just it. Like what they get at the end of an IBT is a cert of satisfactory completion. So it takes whatever it takes.
okay.
Like if you're not safe enough to go out on the road, that say for argument's sake, I was to say, right, you're my son, would
Yeah.
I let you out on the road? I have to be able to put my hand in my heart to say that, and that's the way we look at it. You know, if it's a situation that you're close but no cigar, then you're not going out on the road until you do
Yeah.
meet that safe, satisfactory standard. You know.
Okay. And in terms of your place, right? So do you guys provide people, like, if they want to do the course to yourselves, like with like the bike, the safety gear, the
All they
helmet,
need is the learner permit. We supply everything else.
grant? So you do the course, and then is there a pre-test then you need to do before you go and do the full
You
license,
don't need
or
to do it, but it's recommended that you do it because you're going to
okay?
learn so much on an IBT, right? And then you're going to
Yeah.
go away with your interpretation of what you were told, and you're going to
Yeah.
start implementing that into your riding. And then you're going to have your mates that are saying to you, "Oh, this is what I was told by the other fella
Okay.
who hasn't got the full knowledge that we would have with our background because we're all advanced motorcyclists and everything, you know." And we
Yeah.
try and instill all that into our students from day one, because we believe there's only one way to ride a motorcycle. That's why I'm saying it's ran similar to a DR course, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they get all the information you can possibly get off of. So you might have confliction between someone who done a substandard IBT course and someone who done it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And they might be saying, well, my instructor said this, you know, and if our students listen to him, then they're going to implement what he's doing. And then when it comes to that test, then they're going to have issues,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know.
Grant. Do you know what your pass rate is, or?
Um, I would say there's no such thing as a pass rate, but
Yeah.
the students I put through normally pass first time.
Okay. Yeah. That's good stuff.
You know, you get the odd one that doesn't because of nerves, or they do something silly during the test, like fucking not moving into a junction when the light goes green, when they're turning right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's a disregarding the green light, automatic fail. You know, so
Yeah.
it'd be something small that would normally catch them if they do get caught. But
Yeah.
if they spend a bit of time and do their pre-test, and normally they pass first.
Yeah. All right. And how do it's know when you're obviously in a car, right? You're sitting beside someone, they can talk to you. When you're doing
Yeah.
your motorbike test, are you given like a route, or do you have like a helmet
No,
on?
no.
Like, and you listen.
He at the minute he travels behind you. The tester travels behind you in a car. Now, when
Okay.
we're with our students out on the road, we're traveling on the bike, but the system is pretty much still the same. Then, you know what I mean? So we have a Bluetooth system. So there's the helmet there. There's the Bluetooth system,
Okay.
and that talks to them then through a similar Bluetooth system that just has a headphone on.
Okay. So
Yeah,
works. And
yeah.
there's no like would there be a lot of wind noise then in through the
No,
headphones, or
there's none
it's
whatsoever in that, because it has
yeah.
wind buffers and everything built in onto it, like a little like your microphone there. If you wanted to
Yeah.
cancel wind or noise, you stick a yoke over it,
Yeah, it's handy enough. So
like the
yes.
boom mic at RTE that keeps
Yeah,
coming into the top of the picture, you know.
I get it. And, all right, cool. And now, right, that you're out of the army, right? Would you recommend it for like someone that's looking at it as a career option?
If I'll put it this way: if I was 22 years of age again, and I
Yeah.
was looking at with the similar eyes that I had back then, it wouldn't look as attractive.
Okay.
It was the pension that had me straight away saying, right, I'll join, I'll suffer what the wages are for the years, and then I'll have
Yeah.
like I'll be secure for the years that I'm in it, and then when I come out, I'll have that at least, and the mortgage will be paid. You know what I mean? And that's the way I was looking at it. The
Yeah.
lads today don't have that.
Yeah. And that's the turn off. Yeah. That's kind of how I felt about it as well. Like, I didn't feel like I'd
Yeah.
have it in the back pocket. So I was like, what's the
Like if
point?
my
You know?
son wanted to do it, which I'm sure he won't, but if he did want to do it,
Yeah.
I'd say go for it. Go in and do it, but it's not going to be the career that I had. You're going to come out after probably 5 years, probably even 3 years. But go scratch your itch, and then see what you want to do after that.
Give it a bash, yeah. And then if someone wants to contact you then about kind of getting on a motorbike training course after they do their theory test, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, so I have the Facebook page, Dalton Motorcycle Training, or I have the phone, obviously 086 222 8151.
Okay.
But I have the website there as well, so
Okay, yeah.
they can
So
look me up there to get the phone number there, email address there, whatever.
yeah, Grant.
But they
Yeah,
can email Dalton Motorcycle Training at yahoo.com as well.
yeah, Grant. And I'll leave the link for your LinkedIn profile as well. People okay to contact you
Yeah,
through
yeah,
LinkedIn?
yeah. People have contacted me through. It's not very rare, but they have done.
Yeah.
Got in touch with me with LinkedIn. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll do
A
that.
lot of a lot of my business comes from word of mouth with Defence Force members anyway,
Yeah.
and
Well,
past students. You know.
I actually have my theory test A license here as well. I was going to hit you up, but it's out of date
Yeah,
since
yeah, yeah.
2020. COVID stopped it. So,
Yeah, well, go get it renewed, and I do give a military discount
okay, yeah. So
to
I'll
serve
hit
and
you up.
annex members for IBT.
Yeah, Grant, so I might get you booked in for maybe the end of October or the start of October at some stage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, look, thanks very much for coming on. Much appreciated. Do you have anything else that you want to share, or are you happy enough?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, Grant, I'll just try to stop
Life
the
is good,
recording.
isn't it? We're all alive. That's the main thing.
That's it.